Hello, healthcare finance students. All right, here we are, deep into Module 3. I'm shooting this on a Thursday. Really late getting your update video out, but there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes work being done in the course. As you remember from our video last week, my update last week, issues with the quizzes started to appear. And if you want, you can go back to that video and find out the reason for that. But basically, we got to scrap all of the quizzes, midterm, final, and I need to rewrite all of those. So you probably noticed some of the modules getting locked down because I don't want you working ahead right now. I know initially we talked about working ahead was fine, but we need you to slow down until I can catch up with you. Now, as of right now, Module 4 I have just opened up for you guys, for anybody that wants to start working on it early. Well, let's jump into the modules and we'll kind of talk about things as we're going here. All right, Module 3, which you're working on right now. There were some of you that were working ahead for various reasons, and we were texting back and forth, and then found issues with those quizzes. So that's really kind of what brought all of this on. What I have done is those quizzes were completely rewritten. For those of you that took the quizzes early, you may say, hey, I just saw my grade go down. Because it's trying to grade your old grade against the new grade, which are different answers and different questions and all of that. Do not worry. I will adjust your grades. If you were in that bucket of individuals who worked ahead, your grades will be adjusted and preserved back to what they originally were. And for the most part, you get to take these quizzes 3 times. So even if the question didn't make sense, most of you were just answering it with the wrong answer to get the points. But that's not helping us. So that's why everything was rewritten and redone. But don't worry, your points will be adjusted. And I will have that done by the end of the week. I think I've identified all the individuals who were in that group. For those of you that have just started taking the quizzes, they should be fine. No problem. You should have smooth sailing. Do remember that you can take each one of those 3 times. It's very low consequence. You should be able to get all the points for that. Also this week we have a progress journal, easy points. You're just talking to me about some central themes in there, or you can talk about anything that you like. It's a great way for me to kind of touch base with you folks as we're kind of approaching the midpoint of the course. Okay, Module 3. Module 4. Now, this one was originally locked. I just unlocked Module 4. So if you wish to work ahead, you can. Everything should be, fingers crossed, good to go. All the quizzes rewritten and the midterm rewritten. So let's kind of go through here. Again, I'm not going to talk about the quizzes, module presentations, that's fine. Then we have a threaded discussion on operating budgets. You guys are doing great with the threaded discussions, but please, feel free to just use your own thoughts. You don't have to worry about so much being perfect with your grammar. I know some of you are putting citations at the end. I do not need that. I maybe am suspecting a little bit of AI in there. I'd rather have you guys not use the AI and just talk. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm really just looking for some meaningful dialogue in there. So that's great. We're going to talk more about AI probably in module. Before we end this course, I want to definitely start talking more about AI. Its applications for healthcare finance, its applications for your career and the rest of your life, because it's incredible. And we might even be trying some creative things with AI and finance in the next few modules. So I just don't want you to think I'm, negative AI. Actually, I'm 100% positive AI, and you better start be using it for everything. So, okay, so there's my little spiel about that and the quizzes and the threaded discussions. Just talked, feel free to use your own thoughts and words in there. And all right, let's go back to Module 4. So Module 4, we're going to have your normal 4 quizzes in here. The big thing is the midterm. Again, the where I guess I went down that rabbit hole was our thread of discussion for the week. Okay, but let's get to the midterm. So before I go into the midterm summary review, let's look at the midterm exam details. As we've talked about in the previous video, we are having a proctored, let me remove my picture here, we are having a proctored experience. We're going to have a midterm and a final that'll be proctored. And you can read all of the details here, but basically you got no open book, no open note, just you. You can bring a piece of paper, a pencil or a pen, and a non-graphing calculator. You have 150 minutes. That should be plenty of time for a 50-question multiple choice exam. The questions, I hopefully, are not too terribly difficult. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So please, what you want to do is, even if you decide, I'm just going to finish Module 3 this week and I don't want to work ahead, please look at what's required for the proctored experience. If none of you have gone through ProctorU, my guess is many of you already have. I usually find out about 80% of you folks have already gone through ProctorU by the time that you reach me, which is great, because you kind of worked out all the kinks and figure it out. But if you haven't gone through ProctorU, which is the Proctor service that we use, you'll want to, there's a little bit of learning curve here. So you'll want to get started on the processes that I'm going to show you here in just a second. And for those of you that don't even know what I'm talking about, what is this ProctorU thing he's talking about? Basically, you will take the midterm on your laptop or whatever desktop, if you still use a desktop, and you will be monitored while you take that exam. Please read all of the instructions that I'm going to show you. Read them carefully. It will save you a lot of angst. I have gone through proctored experiences, and I learned very quickly, like, okay, I need to do exactly what they say. If it says I need to be in an area with nothing on my desk, there better be nothing on the desk, because they will make me take it off. If it says no dual monitors, it's, I got to make sure no dual monitors. I had this actually was on my desk, and I was taking it. And the proctor was like, "What is that? What is that?" I'm like, "It's a phone stand." But I said, "Well, no, you got to remove that." Well, because maybe I had notes written under it. Who knows? So I get it. But please take to heart the precise details that are in. We have them all for you here in the module. Please read them. They will save you a lot of heartache. Okay. So you can read here what you can have and basically not have, but you really can't have much going into this. Let's go back and let's take a look at, before we get into some more ProctorU stuff, let's talk about what's on the midterm. So the midterm takes inspiration from the quizzes, but it will not be a regurgitation of the quizzes. Sometimes you have finals, midterms that are just regurgitating the same exact questions you had on the quizzes. There will be similar thematic elements, but they will not be the same questions. You can definitely look at your quizzes to study for it, but don't think that, oh yeah, I'll just study those and I'll be good. No. Actually, if you were looking at a strategy, what I would recommend is I've made a document called a midterm summary review. And pretty lengthy here. Let's see if it pops up. So what I've tried to do is take the key concepts. I mean, I'm looking at the midterm, right? And that I've written. And I'm using that as inspiration for this midterm summary review. So let's say if I only had 2 hours to study for an exam, and I hope you study more than 2 hours, but if I only had 2 hours, I'm studying this. It's gonna be, again, hitting on all those themes. However, I've got my disclosure here, okay? So, it does summarize outlines and key concepts and topics that would be likely significant for exam preparation. However, it's not going to be exhaustive. So it's my like Chris, it wasn't on the midterm summary. Well, maybe not everything's on there, but I would definitely use this document as the core of my studying, in addition to the chapters, some of the chapter summaries in there, maybe anything that you highlighted. If you're going through here, and some of these things can be expanded out. I'll just have like a little blip on there, but you can definitely, if you're reading in here and go, okay, I need a couple of more nuggets on that particular piece that Chris has on here, then go back. Maybe you can write it in there. I do have this as a Word document, so if you want, you can just type in some extra stuff if you feel it's necessary, which it might be in some of these areas, because some of them are just very high level kind of, conceptual kind of definitions. So you might want to beef that up a little bit. But I don't know. I think this is 9 pages. So I would definitely start with this and then, spice that up a bit. Also, go back to those reading and other materials. Okay. So there's that. Let's see. Let's go back. To the, okay, so midterm summary review. We've gone over the exam details. These 2 items here, the ProctorU student instructions, that's the one where you just go over every detail, go every step. Again, if you've done it, you're a ProctorU professional, you're like, okay, fine, I got the Guardian browser, I'm all set, I know what to do. Great. If you don't, read through this exactly, okay, and follow all of the little steps. Also included is the 5 steps guide for live review, which is what we call the ProctorU, I guess, product that we use. Definitely read this. As far as even like scheduling your exam, they want a 72-hour window. So right now, you should be able to go and schedule that exam. And we'll talk about in a minute. When is that exam window? It's pretty big, but you got to do that 72 hours in advance because they're staffing people to, facilitate these exams. So do all these steps. It will definitely save you some time. All right. So with that, let me just give you some other final thoughts on ProctorU, and then we'll go back to the exam real quick. So I have seen students, because you're monitored, and if there is an event that happens where the proctor's not quite sure what's going on, I will get a notice of the event. So I've seen like videos of things students are doing during the exam, and it usually centers around a few things that trigger this kind of event. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Let me think here. In all of the cases, none of them were cheating, or whatever you want to call it. But it was just suspicious things that kind of triggered an alert. I highly recommend that you do take this in a quiet place, and it will say this in the instructions, but take it in a quiet space with nothing on a desk, sitting, no animals, because the animals will trigger it. Cat going across the screen will trigger an event. Maybe the cat has notes attached to it. I don't know. I've seen like people taking these exams with animals or children. I have children, mine still school age, but I know how it was when they were younger, knocking on the doors and stuff. So if you can, definitely try to have that quiet place where kids are not going to come in there. I've seen people take exams like sitting on their bed because what happened is their movement triggered a suspicious activity because they were sitting there and moving around and no, I mean, I would highly not recommend that. Be at a nice desk, quiet, nothing, on the walls as much as possible, because they will ask you to do a camera pan. And if you don't know what that is, you're going to take your camera and you're going to be panning the room because they're looking for notes that are taped on the wall or something. What I found personally, I didn't realize they were going to do a camera pan, and I had my laptop all wired up, and I was like, oh my God. Then I had to like take my laptop off. I'm trying to take the laptop and, I'm trying to move my laptop all around, like this so the proctor can see everything. It was a little, I was already flustered because they asked me about my phone stand. So then there was this part. But just know that you're going to do that. After that, any proctored events I have a webcam on a cord. That way I can just take the webcam, move it around with my hands, move it around wherever they want to look. I'm not, fumbling around with a laptop. You can still do it, but there's I guess a little thing that maybe if you have a webcam, you might want to get that, or again, you might be fine with the laptop pan, but it is a little bit difficult moving that thing around and in the areas that they want to see in your testing space. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I think I beat Proctor U to death, but do follow those instructions and get started now on some of that tech stuff and getting it ready and scheduling your exam, so you're not freaked out kind of at the last minute. Exam window. So if you've hung on this long, I'm going to give you a little treat. So the exam window is we're going to be from July 24th. It's Wednesday of next week. Double checking, make sure I didn't mess that up. Yep, Wednesday of next week until Wednesday of the following week. Okay. So you've got a week window to do that, weekends, whatever. You get a full week to schedule this exam. So go ahead. You don't get brownie points for doing it early, but do schedule that at a time convenient for you. All right. Let's take a look at a few questions. And so you can get a flavor of like, oh, what are they going to look like? Because I said they kind of take inspiration from the quizzes. So they will have that feel, but they're not going to be a regurgitation of the quizzes. So here's your treat. If you've hung on for the 17 minutes, we're going to go through the first 5 questions of the exam. I'm not going to give you the answers. So screenshot this, whatever you want to do, pause the video, but your first 5 questions on a 50-point exam. So here's 10% of the exam for you. So you can see they're not overly difficult questions. Is there going to be any math as we go through? Is there any math on this, Chris? Because we've had some of these formula things and they were difficult. They were previously covered in the old edition of the book and not so much in the new edition of the book. There could be. So just be prepared. If you want to have that calculator and that scratch paper, it might be a good idea. All right, so we've got this question. Again, not too difficult. The 4 components of management. I think that was a quiz question. Screenshot. There you go. Difference between financial and managerial accounting. Okay. So we're not getting super, there are going to be some higher level difficulty questions, but we're not going to try to get super into the weeds here. Four parts that make the healthcare financial system work. And number 5. What is the primary purpose of chart accounts? Okay, so there you go. There are your first 5 questions. What's going to be covered in the midterm? Everything through modules 1 through 4. And that's, when you look at the the midterm details that's in there, but everything through that, which is in the book. We did skip some chapters. Had to make some choices in order to make the course not crushing. We're doing about 4 chapters a week, so some chapters were missed that I editorially removed those. But we're through like chapter 18 with, again, some skips in there. But you can always go back to the modules and see exactly what we had in there. All right, guys, that's pretty much for it for this week. I'll check in again with you next week. I still won't have Module 5 locked, but I hopefully, as I get more of these quizzes rewritten, we'll start opening up some more of those modules if you do want to work ahead. I know some of you do. So, but stay tuned. I just want to make sure those quizzes are good for you before you jump in there. All right, everybody have a great rest of the week, and weekend coming up pretty soon, so have a fantastic weekend. I'll check in with you. Hopefully should be able to check in with you on Monday. Thanks.